Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. We are at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Of course, it is the Greg Kampe Show. He's Coach Greg Kampe. My name is Neil Rule. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Absolutely. Camp, we're back at it.
Yeah, we're not going to be here much the rest of the year. Next Monday night, we're going to have to cancel because we can't get back from Boise. We got a phone call that our flights, they already know. How do they already know that our flight's delayed?
Don't get me started on that right now, Camp.
Seriously, think about that.
You gotta get me started.
Our flight is Monday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we've been told it's delayed. So we're not going to get back here until midnight Monday night, and then Tuesday we probably won't even practice, and we'll go to Michigan State and play on Wednesday. We have nowhere to practice on Tuesday anyways because the floor is being resurfaced over the break. So we're going to practice now because the flight's been delayed. We're going to practice Monday at Boise, and then Tuesday we'll just take the day off before we play State. So they've delayed the flight.
A week ahead.
It's the way the year's been going, I'll tell you. If anything can go wrong right now, it's gone wrong. But you know what? That's probably good because all the good stuff's just waiting to happen.
Yeah, certainly. Hopefully that is the case. Of course, as you said, headed out to Boise this weekend, played at Syracuse last week. And you guys can get involved with the show, too. Send us a tweet with the hashtag AskCampe. We'll read those. We've already got some of those coming through the pipeline already. Got celebrities in attendance. Jimmy Kennedy, our producer on 1270 The Vet, is here. Oakland alum as well. The usual cast of all-stars that we have, and we appreciate everybody coming out here to that. But, Camp, the game at Syracuse, everything was clipping along pretty good. It was 21-20, and then got tough.
Well, it was 26-24, I think, when it went wrong. The last 3 minutes were, we're in a situation where, when something happens bad, it's snowballing. And that's just part of the growth process, part of the learning process. I'm not concerned about it at all, to be honest with you. I saw the first 15 minutes of Syracuse. I saw really good basketball, but the ball wouldn't go in the basket. I've had multiple coaches call me about what we did against Syracuse's zone. When you got a 6'6" kid get 24 shots inside the paint area.
Tends to shoot a high percentage, right?
Yeah, but that's what you want as a coach. You want to get your worry is about the quality of shots you get and who's getting the shots. You want the people that you think have the best chance of success to get most of your shots. And in that game, we really did a great job. Jalen did a hell of a job at the point. Playing at 60% maybe. He was still able to get the ball where he wanted to get it against that zone, which the history of Syracuse, that's, what they're good at is their length and keeping the ball away from the scoring area. And then it's a big dome. It's hard to shoot in it, and that's why they've had so much success. But we ran great offense. We got the shots we wanted. The problem was we couldn't make the three, and it's plagued us most of the year other than maybe the Eastern Michigan game. Our last home game where we really made, our quality shots. But we went in at halftime 1 for 13 from the three and 1 for 5 from the free throw line. You're not going to beat anybody doing that, especially Syracuse or a Power 5 team. But I was really pleased with the way we played. I was pleased with our defense. We gimmicked a little bit in the first half, and we hadn't done that before. And I thought they did a really good job of figuring it out on the court. We made a couple mistakes that gave them some easy shots. But for the most part, we really took them out of what they were doing. And then their big kid had a great game. And he's 7'1" or whatever he is, and we could not contend with him at the rim. But there are a lot of teams in the country that, if he's playing well, can contend with him at the rim. Was Syracuse beatable? Sure, they were beatable. We felt going in that if we played our A game that we could beat them, and played well for 15 minutes, and then it didn't go well, and we weren't very good. We've really struggled this year at times when something bad happens that it turns into two. We talk a lot about that. Don't let one bad play turn into two, turn into three. and we're working on that.
Camp, in that game, Trey, I thought, and I've noticed this too, like you talk about Power 5 opponents and big-time opponents and things like that. Trey really seems to have a lot of success. You go back to last year, that game against Rice, where he had like 27 and 10 or whatever it was when we were down in Florida. He is such a matchup problem for bigs, certainly at that Power 5 level, because the taller centers that are on him, he drags them out, and they have to come out there because he'll shoot it on you, which he did at Syracuse. He's a problem for a lot of people, isn't he?
Yeah, but in that particular game, I give the credit to the people that got him the ball.
Yeah.
You know, when he gets 24 shots inside the painted area, somebody's getting him the basketball, and you're executing. And now he makes them, and that's the guy you want to get the 24 shots. But yeah, give him a lot of credit. But I think you got to give the people recognize, and that's what we're getting better at. We've got some ball stoppers on the team, and we're working really hard to not have that happen. And we're doing some during this downtime. We're tweaking some things where, we put a new offense in this year, and honestly, it hasn't worked. And there's only one person to blame for that. When you change what you do and it doesn't work, then you got to wonder why you changed it. But we're not. Other than Jalen Moore, we're really not any good off the ball screen. And the offense is a ball screen motion offense.
Right.
And you got multiple times you've got other people coming off ball screens, and we're just not good. The ball stops and there's no movement, and we get the ball out on the perimeter, and now there's 8 seconds left, and then Jalen goes and gets it and tries to score against one on the world with 5 seconds on the shot clock, and that's not a recipe for success. So we've really spent a lot of time in the last week and leading up into Boise. We're really drastically changing what we do offensively. It probably is not going to be good for Boise or for Michigan State, but it's got to be good and ready by the time we get to Milwaukee, and you'll see it. So I'm not expecting any offensive bursts in the next 2 games. We're probably playing the 2 best defensive teams we'll play all year, the 2 most physical teams we will play all year. And so it's going to be a good learning experience for us, but we've got to change what we're doing, and we are.
Yeah, and we'll get into that too a little bit later on in the show. And speaking of Jalen Moore, he is here in the house tonight. We will talk to him coming up in the second segment of the show. So again, any questions for Jalen or Coach Kampe, take it to Twitter with the hashtag AskKampe. We will read those coming up in the third segment of the show. And of course, we will look ahead to what's going on. But as Coach Kampe said, no show next Monday, just so everybody knows. We will be en route coming home from Boise. That'll be a long travel day. But again, lots to get to here. Camp, it's as you looked at it, we've talked a great deal about when this team is playing their best. We've seen a lot from Chris Conway. We've seen some jumps that Chris has made. He played 15 minutes in the basketball game against Syracuse, and that was one of those things, Camp, where you got him the minutes out there against 7-footers and in Power 5 conference opposition. That was about as difficult as a task as you can ask a big, right? Especially a younger one.
Well, I'm not so sure he's young anymore. I mean, he's in his 3rd season here. Will's in their 2nd season. I think they've gotten better, but we're not seeing the strides where we want to see, and they've got to continue to improve when we get into the league, and that's going to be the true test on how much they've improved. I don't think you're going to, I think Chris is going to probably struggle a little bit against the size and athleticism that we're going to see in the next 2 games. But he's got to play minutes, and he's got to go against it, and he's got to learn from it and improve. And if he does, that's really going to help our basketball team. I still have a lot of good feelings about this group of kids. They work extremely hard. And they have worked hard, and the shooting is what befuddles me. I just, I watch us in practice, and that's not what I see. I mean, one of the reasons we brought Brody Parker back is because he's a guy that's shooting the ball extremely well, and we chart every shot in practice. We know what their percentages are. Every shot they take, we know. And over time, you are who you are, right? And Brody has shot the 3 well over 40% since June 20th or whatever day it was that we convened, and he went 0 for 6 in his first start, and first couple practices when we came back, he didn't make anything, but today he made everything. And maybe that's a good sign. Maybe he's getting comfortable and he can help us. Lampman, who shoots well over in the mid to high 40% in practice, is up to 38% this year, and we get him back with confidence, and he can rise. And if he shoots in the 40%, we've got, I think a healthy Jalen Moore is going to shoot the three at 40%.
Right.
I really do. I saw the improvement he had from last year. He knows this is last year. He knows that those percentages are important. He was taking really good shots and shooting. And, the game that he did play when he wasn't injured, he had 32 in and was 2 of 3 from the three and playing with great confidence. And we just got to get him healthy and get him back to playing with that confidence. And the other guys have to raise to the level they're capable of. And I believe we can, because I think they work extremely hard. And it's a good group of kids. I mean, they want to be coached. They want to get, they want us to get after them. They want to be successful. And that's half the battle. So I'm not, things aren't going well. From a win-loss standpoint, the schedule's been extremely difficult, but it is every year. That's not an excuse, because every year it's extremely difficult. So we just got to keep getting better. And unfortunately for us, going through this, we had to play 2 league games on the road against 2 good teams. And so we're 0-2 in the league. And that's the only worrisome thing for me is, that we had to go through that and play 2 league games. Like, I'm against playing league games in December. And
I agree with that.
And this time it's kicked us in the butt. But, we we come home and play 2 home league games, and when we start the league after Christmas, we get 2 wins there. We'll be right in the thick of things, because, it's going. Last year, 6 losses won the league. We're playing 20 league games, so 5 or 6 losses probably will win the league. So we just got to hang on and wait. Success will come. I really believe that. I think success will come for this group.
Camp, your use of the word befuddle, people liked it out here. Is that something that you typically have in the arsenal? I haven't heard you use befuddle.
Don't ask me to spell it.
Nor me. Yeah, exactly.
And there's a couple words out there that stick when you hear them, but I don't think my vocabulary would be one that anybody would want. So unless you're really interested in 4-letter words, because I'm really good at those 4-letter words.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about the health of this basketball team, and you've been doing this. You've been in this game a long time, and over 40 years.
Don't have to remind me of that. Keep
coaching.
Reminding everybody of that.
Everybody of that. It's in my time here at Oakland, just from a nicks and bumps standpoint, it is one of the more befuddling beginnings to a season in terms of team health. Just like the number of injuries, and it's not like major stuff. It's just stuff that you have to deal with from time to time.
And we've really, the last decade has been, just one after another season of, last year we're humming along, and Jalen gets Trey sprains the ankle, right? All we got to do, we get 4 home games, we win them, we win the league championship. And you would bet on us in 4 home games. And Jalen, tears a ligament in his shooting wrist. Trey Townsend sprains gets a high ankle sprain, and boom, Kendrick Nunn's senior year was, I think 18 was the most. We lost 4 of our top 6 for the season-ending injuries, but they were spread out through the season. Like, we lost Brad Brechtine after the first exhibition game. We lost Braylon Neely, our starting point guard, probably 10 games into the season. We lost Martez Walker, with 10 games left. So we've been having years, but I've never seen the Nixon drill. I mean, we're lucky to get 10 people to practice.
Yeah.
Since we've been back from Syracuse, 11's the most we've had at practice in any day. It's hard to get a lot done. It's hard. It's hard because we ask so much from them in practice that within 45 minutes, if there's no lines to stand in, that it's tough.
Yeah.
So it's really been, and I don't really like talking about it because it sounds like excuses, and I don't I don't want anybody to think we're
That's
making
why I brought it
excuses.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're 2-9, and we own it. We're 0-2 in the schedule, the record that counts, and we own that. And all we do is we've got 18 left, and 18-2 will win the league, right? So we'll play them one at a time and see what happens. And I believe we can win every game we play, no matter who we play in our conference, no matter where it is. I believe we're talented enough, kids are good enough that we can win any game we play. So we'll see.
Greg Kampe Show is brought to you by Henry Ford Sports Medicine, the official team physicians for Oakland University and you. For more information, visit henryford.com/athletes. When we come back, we'll be joined by a student athlete, of course, one of the very best point guards in the nation. He is Jalen Moore. We'll sit down with Jalen. When we come back, we will chop it up. Always an entertaining conversation with Jalen Moore. All that, your questions on Twitter with the hashtag AskKampe. Get those in as well. We'll be getting to those in the third segment of the show. We will be back here at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills with more of the Greg Kampe Show. All right, thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Oh, really? Okay. It is. Hold on one second.
Around your legs so that you cannot take your socks and shoes off or back it off and squeeze a lot of your hand. I've been having for
We're just going to chop it up. You know. You've done it 100 times.
I can't talk about it. You can get yourself out. I stopped that bus on Hamlin Road, man. She heard that bus real quick and jumped out of my seat. Because she was getting out. I'm like, well, so now I hit her. The driver's seat is right here. So I can see everything she's doing in here.
30 seconds.
I can see her. I had her there in the beginning, but I used her. Because she could stay back.
Kid Cunningham's over here.
I didn't know I could stop this one. It was fast. And if she gets out,
All right. Welcome back inside RJ's Pub here in Rochester Hills. It is the Greg Kampe Show. My name is Neil Rule, the voice of the Golden Grizzlies. Right now, as promised, we're joined by the point guard here for your Oakland Golden Grizzlies. He is Jalen Moore. Give it up for Jalen Moore. Everybody here in the house. Jalen, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
It's good to sit down with you, chop it up. We've done this a lot of times. So,
Yes, sir.
family good? Pretty good?
Everybody's good. Can't complain.
Absolutely. Coach Kampe got out to the media too when Camp did the post-game interview with me on the court after the Syracuse game. Said, time has come. We got to get Jalen some rest and get him back healthy. Update everybody now that you're out here right now. How you feeling? What's it looking like? How's things going?
My foot it doesn't really hurt like when I'm walking around. It only hurts like when I start jogging or start moving around. So the most pain I have is when I'm pushing off or trying to stop. So I feel like I can't play how I want to play or move around how I want to on the court. There's a lot of people saying you look fine out there, but I mean, I might look fine, but it hurts. It just hurts to push off, hurts to like cut, go side to side. So, we have a really good training staff and they're helping me out with it. We're just taking it day by day. And my goal is to just get 100% healthy by college play. I'm not worried about these next two games because these next two games aren't going to mean anything in March.
Right.
So my goal is just to get 100% healthy, and then the old Jalen Moore will be back.
And that's something too, J-Mo, like when you and I sit down and talk, and we'll do that sometimes maybe on the bus ride home from the game or something like that. We'll get to talking about basketball stuff. And I would say that to you. I would say there were stretches where that was the old Jalen, where we saw that explosion, because your game is predicated on explosion.
Yeah.
You get to gaps, you maneuver your way through gaps, you get to the bucket, score off the glass, and things like that. Your whole being on the basketball floor is based on explosion.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's tough when, like you said, your game is built around explosion, getting to the gaps, getting to the hole, finding your teammates when the gaps close. So I mean, it's tough not being able to do that. I just feel like I can't be myself.
Right.
So my goal is to get 100% healthy and be myself when I'm 100% healthy.
Absolutely, and everybody certainly is looking forward to that. Of course, Jalen Moore led the nation in assists 2 seasons ago, was second in the nation in assists last year. And as Camp was talking about, your final season here. So I know this really sucks for you right now, trying to get back healthy. Do you ever do that? You ever look back, with the accomplishments, some of the stuff that you've done, maybe when you get a moment or whatever? I know it's not like you're out there on the floor thinking about it or anything like that, but just the numbers you put up, the things that you've accomplished, the stats, the statistical championships, and all that kind of thing. You have had an incredible career even to this point. I know it's not finished for you yet, but you ever take a minute in those moments and say, "Wow, man, I was able to pull this stuff off."
Yeah, I think this summer is really when it hit me. My last year in college. This year is my last year, and I think this summer I took some time and just looked back on my career, and I told myself I wouldn't put too much pressure on myself this season. Would it feel like I'm doing that right now because it's
Well, that's you though, man.
Yeah.
Like getting to know you a little bit. You wear everything, don't you?
yeah, for sure. Like you said, just being in this position right now hurt my last year. It sucks, but my goal is to get healthy. My goal is to not put too much pressure on myself when I'm back on the floor, and just play my game and lead my teammates. And we got to get to that NCAA tournament this year. That's the number one priority.
Yeah, and that's something that you've always talked about from day one. And I'll tell you this too, Jalen. Camp was talking. We were talking about the injuries and the bumps and the nicks and the bruises and all that stuff. Going back to last year, what happened to your wrist and things like that. When you leave here, whenever that day comes when you play your last game at Oakland, I know that no one will be able to say Jalen Moore didn't give everything that he has to Oakland University, to his teammates, to the program, of all that. But you take a lot of pride in that. You will leave with the tank empty. Make no mistake.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you said, I don't think anybody can say I never give it my all. Playing through injuries, that's part of basketball, it's part of sports. But I will always give it my all, no matter where I'm at. That's just in my DNA.
Talking with Jalen Moore here on the Greg Kampe Show. We're live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. And look, you're a basketball dude. And I think I've told the story on the show before. When we get on the bus or we leave, he's got the computer, he's got the film. You're watching the game and seeing everything that went down. You watch the film like a coach, man. Like even like into like camp or whoever, they get on the bus and boom, we're going into it. They're seeing what happened. You're doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think to have a lot of success, and you got to see where you're making mistakes at, what you're doing good. So you got to build off that. So one thing about film, it'll never lie to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're watching yourself out there. You can see if you're giving your all. I mean, your body, your game. So I can study myself and see if I'm giving my all, or what I could have did on this play, what I could have done on that play to get my teammate a better shot, or what I could have done, period. So, I watch a lot of film. I've always been like that since high school because, like I said, film will never lie to you.
That's interesting too, Jalen, because I think in today's day and age, we tend to not do that. Like we don't want to look back and see mistakes and things like that. We kind of would rather see what we were successful at. That just seems to be like the general attitude of a lot of people. And you kind of fly against that, right?
Yeah.
You want to know where the failures were.
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, it does suck. Like last year, I think me and T. Jones watched the game versus West Virginia after the game, and I had 12 turnovers, and it was just brutal watching it. Like, it was just brutal. I'm just like, what was I doing? But, I mean, you have to watch those things so you can fix those mistakes, and they'll never happen again.
What do you do for fun? Do you do anything for fun? Is it basketball all the time? Because, again, you are business-like. You're more business-like than most. What do you do for fun?
What I do for fun, I like hanging out with my family. I'm a big family person.
Yeah.
So I have a dog, and I really just chill with my dog, take him on walks, have fun, play around with him. But yeah, I'm definitely a big family guy. So when I'm at home, I think for fun, I just chill with my family. We just kick it and talk about life, talk about, like you said, business opportunities.
Yeah.
So yeah, for fun, I guess I just hang out.
What's the dog's name?
His name's King.
King?
Yep.
All right.
King.
Let him know, King. Talking with Jalen Moore here on the Greg Kampe Show. So, you mentioned it, Jalen. What are some of those things that you are doing now? Because again, just kind of being shut down, trying to get the body right. Take everybody. What's a day of treatment like for you?
So I get up and go to treatment before practice. Chris, our trainer, I warm up my foot because I'm having problems with my foot. My Achilles are getting like really stiff and they're popping, and I've never had that since I had this ankle injury. So I was a little worried about that, but he was telling me that's normal because when you roll your ankle and it gets stiff, all those bones and stuff down there are getting stiff. So you definitely got to warm it up. So I'm warming my foot up. We're doing some laser treatment, and I don't know what this one machine's called, but it's like some type of massaging thing, and it like rubs it out. And I don't know what it's called, but doing that, doing stretching. But you can't do too much because it's a tendon tear. So if you stretch it too much, you're just gonna hurt it worse.
Right.
So yeah, it's a day in the life, I guess. Treatment, not fun. Rather be out there on the floor with my teammates. It definitely sucks watching practice because I'm not the type of guy who likes to sit around, take days off. So it's just like it's brutal for me to sit down and watch practice because I'm just like I want to be out there so bad. But I know in the long run it's going to hurt me even more if I get out there right now. So um, we're just taking our time. We're not rushing it. We're just letting it heal and hopefully be 100% soon and be back to myself.
Put you on the spot a little bit here, Jalen. Coach Kampe talks about how he feels the success is coming, that the building blocks are being laid down. He feels like success is coming. If the Golden Grizzlies are successful, what will be the main thing that happens for this team to be successful, to get to where you want to go to? What are going to be some of the things that will happen as we see it play out?
I think one thing is simple: Rocket Watts. When he gets going, I think that's going to get everybody going. I think that you seen in the Purdue Fort Wayne game, he was going.
Yeah.
Everything was going good. So we just got to get him going, like whatever it takes. I know Coach Kampe got mad at me one time in the Syracuse game when I was wide open for a three and I didn't shoot it. He's like, "Shoot the ball."
That would be one way of describing what he said. I heard that described a different way.
I definitely can't
But
say
go ahead.
everything you said.
This is a family establishment here.
Yeah. So, but Rocket just hit a three right before that. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I don't care about me getting the shot. Rocket just hit a three. So let me get him another shot and let's get him going. And I told Camp that I'm like, Coach, Rocket just hit a three. I'm trying to get him another shot. He just hit a three, so let's see if he can get it going. So I think one thing that'll change our whole offense is when he gets going. The Purdue Fort Wayne game was a close game. It was a good game. He played really good. So I think once he gets going, everybody else will get going, and we'll build off of that. But I also think rebounding. We're a terrible rebounding team. We're undersized, but I tell our guys we have to box out, and I've been holding them accountable since I think the Cleveland State game. I've been holding them accountable the whole year, but I told them like if you're not boxing out, I'm gonna get on you.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to take it, whether you like it or not, because we're not gonna out jump people. We're not extremely athletic.
Not gonna outsize them.
Exactly. So we gotta box out, and like my pops used to tell me, if you box out, if everybody's boxing out, that ball should hit the ground. That basketball should hit the ground unless it comes right to you.
Right.
The ball should hit the ground, then you should go get it. So I think rebounding is huge. I'm not too worried about our defense because I think we have guys who haven't played that zone this year. They're learning it, but I think as the season goes on, that you'll see the zone it'll get way better. So I think just rebounding and when Rocket gets going, I can feel it. He's going to get going soon.
Well, yeah, and it's something where Camp and I talked about that too. When you you transferred here. Describe that, Jalen. Like people forget you transferred here too. Kampe's offense is not something that is you're not just going to walk in and understand it and more importantly have the feel for it or things like that. That is a process, right?
Yeah, it's a process, and I think that's with any school you transfer to. you're not going to go in right away and just fit in. You have to find your way to fit in. So it's a process, and I think with these games going on, I think he's figuring it out a little bit. As we play more games, he'll continue to figure it out. But I could feel it. I could feel it. I could I could just feel the whole season. It's going to turn around. Like Kampe said, there's a good feeling about this team. And one thing through all this rough time in our games, we never went apart. We've always stayed together. You have seen us yelling at each other, but that's not us going apart. That's pulling each other
Right.
and holding each other accountable. And that's what you need if you want to win games. So, our chemistry is good. Everything else is good, and it'll all fall into place.
Absolutely. Well, Jalen, I always appreciate the opportunities we get to chop it up, man. Big fan of yours, even off the court, just the character you have, the kind of person you are. So appreciate you pulling up on us here.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you more than you know.
Give it up to Jalen Moore, everybody. When we come back, it's your time to shine. That's right. Your Twitter questions with the hashtag AskCampy. If you got anything rolling around, go ahead and fire those off. We'll be getting to those coming up in the next segment. We'll be back with more. The Greg Kampe Show. We're live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Yep. Out of town. There's a few construction. Yeah. Those come to those have a lot.
Yep. See you tomorrow.
Last one at Oak.
Yeah, you go to Rochester.
Good idea.
See ya, everybody.
Take care. Bye.
30 seconds. Welcome back to the Greg Kampe Show, live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. My name is Neil Rule, the voice of the Golden Grizzlies. He is the coach, Greg Kampe, of course, and it has come to be that time. We will get to your questions with the hashtag AskCampe coming up here in just a couple of seconds. But just want to remind you, the Greg Kampe Show is brought to you by MEMIC Insurance and the Pino Insurance Agency. The Pino Insurance Agency, LLC of MEMIC Insurance, caters to the educational market. If you're looking for affordable insurance and a knowledgeable insurance agency, go online to pinoinsurance.com today. That's PINO insurance.com today. As the spouse of a teacher can confirm, MEMIC Insurance, that is where it is at. But Camp, it's about that time for the Ask Kampe segment of the show. You ready to rock?
Yeah, it's kind of weird they're replaying the Penn State Illinois game. Brad's a pretty good friend of mine. He had quite the meltdown after that game. I don't know if everybody saw that or not. If you Google it, you see that. But it's crazy. College basketball, they beat the number 2 team in the country on Sunday, and then 2 days later they lost to one of the worst teams in the Big Ten at home by double digits. So, I know we all get frustrated sometimes, but you got to remember they're not really that old, and they're fairly young kids, and it's a long season. 30-some games is a long time to play at your A level, The difference between, especially at our level, the difference between good and great and good and bad is very small and slim. So you can go from the top of the world to the bottom of the world in 2 days. And the good for us is that, I don't think we're going to go any lower than we've been. We've played a very difficult schedule. We've had it handed to us a couple times, and we come every day to practice. So I still, like I said, I feel good about us. So if that helps to any of the questions that are coming, that's how I feel.
All right. Our guy, Pittsburgh Marty, jumping in, says, Coach, I'm sure as a coach you've had rough starts to a seasons before, injuries, losses, etc. Describe a few things you do to keep everybody motivated and hold everybody together in the locker room with the team and the staff. I'm staying optimistic and positive, Pittsburgh Marty.
Well, the biggest thing that I do is I use my history, and we've had 2 teams that have started in the Division I era, 2 teams that have started like this. And one of those teams went to the NCAA tournament, and one of them got beat in the championship game in the conference tournament to go to the NCAA tournament. And there's reasons that they stuck together, and it all worked out in the end. And so, that's what they have to believe in. And part of it is, 2 years ago, we were 0-9. Now, that was the COVID year, and there's reasoning for that. I mean, it's pretty hard to win games when you don't practice. You get together, and 3 days after you get together, you open the season is probably the reason we were that. But 2 of the players, Jalen and Trey and Lamp, and I guess 3 of the players were major people in that team and have lived it, and they know. So that's good that they're there and know and can talk to people that, look, this is, we don't like this, but it's not going to define who we are. We've got a lot of games left. So it's pretty easy when you have that history of 2 teams that have done that, and both those teams either won the championship or played for the championship. So it's a simple task right now to keep them focused. Now, we get into league play, and all of a sudden we're 2-7 or 2-8. Then come talk to me, because I've never been there, so I really don't know what I would do.
You don't want to find out.
No, I don't.
You do not want to find out.
No.
This one comes from Natalie, and it is the holiday season, Cam. So the favorite holiday movie, the obligatory favorite holiday movie.
Growing up, we watched at my house. This was a long time ago, and we were very old-fashioned. But my mom and my father, we watched White Christmas every Christmas Eve. And if you haven't seen that movie, I tried to watch it last year. I put it on Christmas Day, because we had Christmas Day off, and I saw that it was on, when you're scrolling through.
Yeah.
And I put it on, and I couldn't get through 30 minutes of it. It was that bad. But as a kid, we watched it every Christmas Eve before we went to bed. We watched White Christmas with Bing Crosby. For me, my favorite Christmas movie, if you had to ask me, would be Die Hard.
It qualifies.
Die Hard.
Yeah, they were at a Christmas party at the Nakatomi Plaza. That's Christmas as a kid.
Christmas movie.
No, I'm 100% with you on that one. I'm a big Christmas Story guy. When they run it for 24 hours, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I always make sure I catch it at least once. So certainly that's one. I did have a question for you too, personally, for the Ask Kampe thing. We had this little hole in the schedule, so we had this past weekend off. I went to the Army-Navy game in Philadelphia this weekend. I was excited to do it. It was like a bucket list thing. You've been in every college basketball arena, national championship games, Final Fours, all of it. Do you have any bucket list sports stuff left?
Well, my son actually was recruited by Army, and he and his mother went to the Army-Navy game a few years ago, and then Gary Danielson, who does the game, did he do the game this year?
I believe so, yes.
If they still do it.
They
But
still
at that time, Danielson was doing that. Danielson was a friend of mine, or is a friend of mine. We played golf together a lot. And Gary had Sue and Branch go up to the booth, and actually got to sit in the booth this was a nice thing for him, and great for the kid. And they came back with unbelievable experience of going to that game. I've never made it to that game, but I'm with you. I think that's one I would like to see someday, especially all I've heard from it. But no, I've been to a Super Bowl, left early.
It wasn't because Atlanta was up 28-3 or anything like that, right?
No, it was the game in Indianapolis that the Giants won.
Pump
And,
of the fist from
they were going. There was 7 or 8 minutes to go in the game, and the game, I think New England or somebody was ahead by 2 or 3 points, and the guy that flew me there, Bernie, were you on that trip? Milken, were you on that trip? Yeah. So there's 7 or 8 minutes to go in the game, and the guy that flew us on a private plane. He wanted to go because if we didn't get there, there were probably 350 private planes that flew in for that, and he didn't want to be 351 in the runway.
Yeah.
So as we were getting up to leave, everybody's pretty into the game, and the usher, because we asked the usher, what's the quickest way to get